Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Shasmita Samant, to address us. Ma'am.
Very good afternoon to one and all present here. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Padma Shri Professor V.S. Chauhan, Chairman of National Assessment and Accreditation Council. We all have now just listened to him, and in the way he shared his vision, perhaps we all are enlightened by his speech. Our Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Padma Shri Professor Subrata Acharya. He had also completed his presentation, and in his presentation he wanted to focus that how the education system should be and how it will be more and more acceptable to the students, and what every teacher should do to make themselves responsible and to make the students responsible for the academics. So that was the core of his deliberation he wanted to emphasize there. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who has emphasized on online teaching, though many times he has told after this outbreak of coronavirus that he was trying your level best to implement the online classes in the university, online examination in the university, but do you think that it will be very much effective? I am a person who has already completed 35 years of teaching with chalk and duster, and with that chalk and duster, my hands have become white, my hairs have become white. He has told me several times during these 3 months, and while he told that I want to give a presentation on online teaching, so I was thinking, let's see what Sir is talking about on online teaching. Our respected Registrar of the University, Professor J.R. Mohanty, respected Director of Quality Assurance, Professor Poridak, all the esteemed faculty members present now. After this outbreak of coronavirus, I think that all the educational institutions in this country, we all are going through several issues. And while going through the several issues, I cannot say that those issues were not existing previously. Previously, the issues we all are facing inside one university campus, I think it was and which has evolved in last few years, it was the issue of class attendance. It was the issue of designing the pedagogy to match the aspiration of the students, designing a delivery system which can match to the aspiration of diverse students present in the class, those who are coming from different economic, cultural, and the educational background. They are coming from different cities where each one of the students is having different exposure. They are coming from different boards, starting from the state board, the open universities, and also the international board. So their learning process is completely different. Their examination process is completely different. And after this outbreak, some other issues have emerged. Maybe the how to conduct the classes, what will happen if, whatever our Honorable Chief Guest was saying, that if coronavirus is just disappearing, of course, this is the pandemic, it will be there for a certain time. But if corona would not have happened, the issues we all are facing, how to resolve with that. And whatever we have learned in last 3 months and with all its merits, how to implement it in our education system. So thinking all those things, I thought to give one talk that how to design a system to maintain the resilience in a university, where we get the students from different background, we get the faculties from age group of 30 up to 70, and the faculties, those who come from different state universities, up to the universities of national importance in the country, and also the world's best university. And all of them are having different research and academic background. Their field of research may be different. So how to maintain the coordination among all those aspects or all those factors existing in the university campus. So some ideas came to me. Of course, I had attended one formal program on city resilience in 2017. So it gave me certain idea to design this slide and to present it in an educational perspective. So coming to an university, normally in one university, we do 4 activities. One is academic, then research, then we provide different services to the students and patient care. When we talk about the integrated university today in this country, perhaps after the publication of new education policy, today even all the state universities understand what an integrated university is. Since last 6 to 7 years, while I was talking in different forums, I was discussing that if we take the example of integrated university, then we can take the example of only the big deemed universities of the country, and only one government university which represents itself as the integrated university, that is the Banaras Hindu University, where the courses are taught in campus in diverse fields, starting from engineering, the medical, then social sciences, and different branches of applied sciences, and lot many other programs. Whatever the programs mostly existing, they offer the courses, most of the program in campus. And all the big universities in this country, big deemed universities in the country, they offer the programs, the diverse program in the campus, as KIT is offering around 200 plus courses in the campus, including the services and patient care. And the diverse functionalities the university is exposed is normally what we see that, first of all, I had mentioned perhaps in the previous meeting that one university is not meant for only transferring the information to the students. One university is built up in last 500 years, and to this university system in last 500 years, the lot many knowledge, the experiences, the researches have been put that how the education should happen. And while putting all those knowledge into the university system, always the efforts have been made the how in an university system, the social structure can be represented very nicely. As such, when the students will be educated in that system, they can learn in a natural environment, and they will learn how to apply their knowledge and how to communicate to their peers and how to convince the society with the wisdom they have gathered from the university. So while coming to the diverse functionalities of the university, first is studying the nature to learn the different sources of the knowledge. The what type of knowledge a university would like to offer in the university campus, that should be done by studying to the nature. As for, if you see keenly the strategy document of the university, there are 3 aspects in that strategy document. First one is the universal education of international need or the global need. When a university is established to educate the next generation of the globe, the first in strategy, the first part is imparting the education which will satisfy the global need. And second one is that we should offer the pedagogy and the courses as per the societal and national requirement and matching to the national policies. The university decides about the offering of the courses on the basis of the public policy made on education by Government of India and the government of the nation. And second, they take into consideration the requirement of the nation. In our country, what type of courses should be imparted? Like our Honorable Vice Chancellor is focusing since last few months that our university should focus on studying of the rare earth, because this state is one of the most prominent place where the rare earth, the maximum percentage of rare earth material is available. Second is creation of knowledge through high-end research. The second aspect of any university, the creating the knowledge through high-end research, as normally all the university faculties and students are engaged in doing the high-end research in their respective area. The students should be prepared to accept the knowledge in its original form. How to prepare the students to accept the knowledge? As I said that the students, the learners, they come from different diverse background. It is the responsibility of the university to provide a platform to develop a system where the students can develop their interest to accept the knowledge as it is planned to be communicated to them through the while designing the pedagogy, while designing the delivery system. Fourth is transferring the knowledge to the students or to the next generation with the knowledge of adaptability and practicality. Only transferring the knowledge is not sufficient. While we are transferring this knowledge to the students, we have to teach them how to adapt to the new knowledge and how to apply it in the society. Without application, without creating the social impact, today we all understand that I think that that sort of knowledge has no use. So for that, in every forum now it is being discussed, the creating the knowledge of social relevance, creating the knowledge of global relevance or national relevance. In different forums it is being discussed. The students should be taught how to integrate the knowledge to the society and to earn their livelihood, because anyone is coming to the education according to the economic background of the learners, the economic situation of this country, or it is globally, the students come to the higher education particularly to learn the skill to earn their livelihood. Sixth is that maintaining discipline in the campus and to learn to maintain the harmony instead of natural competition to learn. Each one of the student and the faculties, the staff, those who work in any higher education institution, some of the faculties also have told me in the university campus that while we discuss among our peers, we see some reservations with some of the faculty members. Maybe it is because there is the natural competition among the faculties, the students, the people, those who work in the workplace. But instead of that natural competition, there should be certain system which can maintain the harmony among all the stakeholders. Fourth is catch up to the national and global vision for effective execution. Then, as I said that the education is, it has two implications, the education, sports and culture. These are the two powerful tools which has maintained its relevance for internationalizing or for building up the international relationship among the countries in the globe. These three factors, those three sectors have always tried to maintain its relevance, how to connect the countries nationally instead of any type of relationship. We have seen in last so many years, these are the major factors, those who help in building up the global relationship among the countries. As I have said that the three dimensions of educational institution, one is nature, where we learn that what are the sources of knowledge. Second is society, and in society, the factors which affect the education are the social structure, the religion, the beliefs, the lifestyle in the way we live, the different disciplines of knowledge, and the human being, the type of faculties we get, the students, and the older and new generation available in the university. Then coming to the compassionate university leadership model. Why I thought about compassionate leadership model, I listened to Mr. Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn. In his conversation with one professor of Stanford Graduate School of Business, he had 1 hour conversation with him, and professor conversed with him because he was insisting that the workplace changes he has made in LinkedIn, which has brought LinkedIn from a company with 383 employees to 10,000 employees in 10 years. And it is considered as one of the best managed workplace in the globe. It is because of the compassionate leadership model he has implemented there. And while talking to him, what is the best thing he has done? He said that I have very well defined the difference between empathy and compassionate. The empathy is while I become the part of the problem. when I become the part of the problem, while I think through that person and become the part of the problem, then maybe I may take the wrong decision. But while I build the blocks in between and I try to understand the problem of each one of my employees, then only I can give a solution for them. And whenever I talk to any of my employee, I listen to them and I try to develop a model which can satisfy their aspiration. And only because of that, I maintained a very good workplace culture in last 10 years, which has given that much of satisfaction level to my employees. And because of that, the employee, very less percentage of employees have left LinkedIn, and it has grown in such a gigantic, in such percentage. And today this is one of the high performance industry in the globe. And of course, we are having lots of pressure on us, but because of the compassionate leadership model, while we are very much connected to our vision and mission, which has been very well clarified to my employees, and I very proudly talk about my vision, very loudly talk about my vision and mission to all the employees. And with that, I define very clearly the objective of the institution. And with that, I make them understand what really they have to do. And my one word is transforming the system, transforming yourself, and transforming the globe in the way the industry wants to, is changing its vision brick by brick. So that just motivated me to think that, wow, how really compassionate leadership model can help to designing the workplace in a university. So while coming to the literature, I found that in the compassionate leadership model, the 5 factors are very much required. Of course, I have said in previous deliberation several times that in KIIT, while we do anything, and our honorable founder also has tried to make us explain that very rarely, though we make the strategy, we define the objective, we make the execution plan very meticulously, but most of the things done in this campus, we think by heart. Particularly, we think by heart, and slowly we try to implement it very, of course, the leaders implement it very passionately, but while they implement it very passionately, they become very compassionate for the people. And that compassionate feelings, that compassionate leadership style, perhaps it creates the confidence among all the employees, the faculties, and also the students. We have made a lot of changes in our system in last 1 year. We have said in last 2 years, we have said students, we will introduce the activity-based model learning system, where we have divided the whole curriculum into 5 activities with the internal examination and final examination. And each activity we have assigned the marks. Then each one of the students have to submit in 3 months of time or 90 days of teaching, minimum 5 paper, 5 into 6, 30 activities in a semester. They accepted that load. It is because they had the confidence that whatever the leadership decision is taken in this campus, that is for the benefit of us. So none of the students even complain that this system is not good for us. Of course, we had made a very good strategic plan with all the head of the school, with the faculty members, and we had several rounds of discussion with the students. And because of that, they accepted it with confidence and they felt secure. And second is that we have developed a very good relationship with the students. The collaborative action we take in this campus by taking all the stakeholders into the confidence, that creates a very conducive environment for all of us, for the leadership, for the faculty members, for the students. And now in different forums, I have said the faculties are the academic powerhouse of the university. And each one of the faculty is considered as the leader in his and her subject. In administratively, he or she can report to his dean, director, or pro vice chancellor, even chancellor. But academically, faculty is the leader for his or her own subject. For his or her own subject. So each one of the faculty member, while he is thinking about his curriculum, designing the pedagogy, designing the delivery system, he or she has to take into consideration the different factors, starting from the students' mentality, their aspiration, the dream, requirement of the society or industries, and the expectation of the university, what really university has planned to offer to the students through this course, and why this course is being offered, and the demand from the program itself, whether how a particular program is, what a particular program is demanding from a particular course, whether this course is being offered to the students only for the information, whether this course is being offered to the students to develop his core skill or aptitude, which will help him throughout his life or her life to earn his livelihood, or this is the core area of his studies, or this is the additional area where we want to give the exposure to the students. There are lots of consideration for them. Second is that each one of the leader, they should have self-discipline in their action. Self-discipline in the university campus means while we talk to the parents, while we talk to the students, while we talk to the different statutory authorities present in and around us, what really we should do, how we should behave, how that relationship can be effective. We have found that whenever we are implementing any new strategy, we don't get that level of resistance, neither from the students, nor from the parents, nor from the faculty. It's because we have developed a system which has already proved its credibility in the market, which has got the confidence. But while we take the action, we never try to leave any opportunity for any of the stakeholders to take the advantage of that or to lodge a complaint. As such, we always try to ensure that whatever system is being implemented, everyone is it is being implemented in its best form to satisfy the need of everybody. It may not be 100%, but we try to ensure that as many as we can ensure, we try to ensure that. And third is that the organizational culture, how we have built up the culture. If you see in last 20 years, the culture we have built up, now we say that the legacy we have built up, we are very much proud of that. If you keenly observe the culture of the university, which is based on very much outcome-based model. And many times I have said that we have always put the requirement of the society, the students, the industries in its center, and have tried that how the system can work dynamically to take the feedback, to take the data automatically, assess the system can evolve, and it will take it will be refined in due course as per the changes, or as per the demand is changing from the stakeholders. Fourth is coming to the values and the values in the behavior. In this campus, many a times, our honorable founder has said that there is no room in this campus that anyone can talk to anybody in a louder voice. Anyone can disrespect anybody in this campus for any reason. If anyone is not able to perform, go and talk to him politely. Go and discuss with him or her politely. And while talking to the people politely or talking to the people about the issues, their mistake, at no point of time the leaders should lose their patience or should behave in the way it is not accepted in KIT culture. Today, all the faculty members, those who are there, who have worked in KIT for more than 5 years, I say more than 5 years, maybe some of the faculty or staff, they must have understood the culture even in 5 days. I say 5 years, that probability is much higher. The faculties, those who are here in KIT for more than 5 years, they will agree with me that whenever nowadays the new faculties come to the campus, while we talk to them, we all feel that perhaps we are out of the place. We are very much out of the place. We don't know, we very well say that this person has joined perhaps newly. Just in last 2 days, we had interaction with the students. And while we interacted with the first year students, the second year students, the third year students, and also the alumni, we all had observed the culture of KIIT, the values we add to the students in the campus. The first year students, while we discussed with them, all the authorities, we found that in the way they are presenting the facts, in the way they are communicating, perhaps it is not the culture of KIIT. They are not properly connected to the system. They are not properly cultured in the system of KIIT. And the values we add in, and while we discussed with the students of second year and third year yesterday, we all were discussing that we are doing the good job of inculcating values in the system. Third thing I said to the students yesterday, that while we discussing with all the alumni, I said that to all the alumni, I said to all the students, you must have heard that in KIIT University, which teach to the students, and with teaching, we make them socially sensible and responsible. Even I say today, we make them sensible and responsible. Whatever our honorable chief guest was saying, that each one of the students should take their responsibility. We say, we groom them in such a way that they will be sensible for their own requirement, their own aspiration, own dreams from their lives. They should be sensible to the aspiration of their parents. They should be sensible to the aspiration of the society. And if they're sensible for the causes, then only we can groom them to be responsible for that. And we make them responsible for that. While discussing with around, I can say that 35 to 40 alumni, we discussed one-to-one. And what we found, out of 40 alumni, 10 of them are following their passion. They have studied engineering, they have studied management, but they are in a different discipline. Somebody is doing filmmaking, somebody is doing photography, somebody is singing, somebody is doing storytelling. That means the students, those who are groomed in this university campus, and they are groomed to believe in themselves and follow their passion, they have developed that courage to follow that passion itself. And some of the students we found, those who could not follow their passion, at least they are doing the job for earning their livelihood, but they have not left their passion. That means they are sensible to their aspiration. And with the job, they are following their passion. Some students asked me that if I am very much interested for dancing, I am interested for singing, but I cannot earn that much of money if I follow my passion, then what should I do? Then I said them that you do one thing. Today you say you cannot earn so much of money in dancing or singing. Why? But now it's possible in this globe. It's because the success rate in that particular profession, it can be 5% or 10% according to different profession. And you calculate yourself, you estimate yourself that you are not among that 5% and 10% to 10% of the people, those who go for the singing or dancing profession. Maybe because of that, today you expected. And your aspiration from your life that you need 1 lakh rupees to maintain your life. So today, slowly you follow your passion with your job, and maybe after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, you will find yourself in a place where you will be among top 5% and 10%. And at that point of time, you can take the decision to devote your full time for following your passion. The fifth is that everybody should develop the passion for a purpose. How the passion can be developed? You see that in KIT and KISS, any staff, all faculties, all students, they very proudly say that I love KIT and I want to get associated with the objective and the vision of KIT, and I want to contribute for that. Even the visitors, those who come to KIT and KISS campus, all of them also give the same opinion. then if you little bit analyze it, you will see that the purpose of KIT and KISS is providing the services to the society, where the purpose is very broad. And each one of the human being in this globe, they want to get, they want to contribute for that purpose in their life at any point of time. So while we define our purpose, then while we define our objective, it should be so broad that it should be followed by the leaders, your peers, and the students very nicely. While we have said that you define the course objective, course outcome, the research objective, research outcome, we have also discussed in different forum that while we are discussing about the research objective of the school, of the program, it should have a very broad perspective. As such, anyone is doing research in any area, they can affiliate themselves to that purpose and the objective. So coming to the integrated university resilience system or the intelligence system, as I said, that the intelligence, core intelligence, we all were thinking while we were in the school, maybe 30 years back, we all are believing that intelligent people are the most successful people in this globe. Today morning in newspaper, in one article was there, one blog was there, that where are the students of all IITs, those who have passed in last 50 years, what is their success rate? What is their visibility in this globe? How many of them are the CEOs? That means, so in last 30 years, when we are giving the full focus to the core intelligence in our education system, and which the system which was built up by Professor Bennett during that time, while he was focusing mostly on setting up the knowledge or the skill set, then developing the aptitude that how to apply, then designing the pedagogy, our delivery plan, examination plan, grading system, everything is based on only the core evaluating the core intelligence of the system, his memory, his analytical skill, his application skill, the design skill. So which is mostly based on the intelligence system. And how we try to ensure it? By we implement different tools, different analytics to evaluate that. And at the end, we say that the student is good, this student is bad. And while coming to the core intelligence, while we believed in core intelligence, 100% from 1900 up to 1990. I can say that for so many years, mostly the academics, we all evaluated the students on the basis of their core intelligence. And in 1996 onwards, though emotional intelligence was a word which was evolved after 1960 or 1970, but Daniel Goleman brought this emotional intelligence word to the limelight, and he tried to make this word much popular from 1996 onwards. And I visited while I went to USA in 2016, I visited the Museum of Daniel Goleman in USA. And what I found there, that he has written a couple of books, and many people are there to give the demonstration of the books written by him, and its social impact it has the impact it has created in different industries, and impact it has created in different communities. So that sort of presentation they are giving. I also purchased the most popular book of his, 3-4 books. One is Cultural Intelligence, another one is the Delegation of Authority. 3-4 books I purchased. But what I found that emotional intelligence, though now we all believe that it is the most required behavior or most required soft skill for a leader, and but what we found that immediately after 1996 up to 2005-2006, it could not get much visibility, because the emotion had little bit of connection with feminine gender. And after that, what we found that slowly, while the research continued in emotional intelligence, and many concept was derived, now slowly everybody understand that more than the core intelligence, the emotional intelligence is very much required. Maybe because of that, all the school toppers, the board toppers, the university toppers, those who become first always become the front runner during their education, all of them are not successful in their real life. Because for becoming the successful in their real life, little bit of soft skill is required. So there the predominance of emotional intelligence came into picture. And in the university system, it is become very much required because emotional intelligence always goes around the empathy, the understanding others, then analyzing the facts in the not only with the numericals, but also going beyond the numericals, understanding the aspiration, building up the relationship, the communicate it properly, then application of critical thinking to connect to the mind of the students, and of course, of whatever our honorable Vice Chancellor sir was telling, the teaching. Teaching is not only based on the engineering or the any mathematical system or tools can implement the teaching more effectively. Teaching is an art, and which can be done only with passion. And those emotional intelligence we can ensure in the campus only by discussing with the students, by sharing our ideas, our thoughts, the objectives, the expectation, and through counseling and empowering the students. Then coming to the cultural intelligence, then after the emotional intelligence was implemented, then lot many other issues came out. Of course, cultural intelligence mostly came into picture while the big cities had grown in this world in different countries as the multinational cities like New York, California, London, of course, and Mumbai, which is the one of the more dense city in the globe. So when the people grew in those multinational cities, and people came from different background, different nationality, they start different religion, they started staying in one place. Then the problem came into the picture. The problem arises that what the people should do, that it will not disrupt it will not come in the way of lifestyle of each other. So people try to understand that what really should we plan to develop a system as such there will be cultural compatibility. People from different religion, they stay together, they practice their own celebration, their own religious practices. Then also it should not come in the way of the people. What should we do there? So in cultural intelligence, mostly the factors, city system also you see, if you compare the situation of a multinational city and a university, in the university also we face the same problem. We get the students from 50 to 60 countries. We get the students from all the states of this country. We get the students from all the religions. And in this campus, we are having 30,000 students from 50 countries and from all religions. And we try to maintain the compatibility among them. So we should learn how to respect the beliefs of each one of the students. During our time, what was happening while teacher was telling that this is correct, this is incorrect, without questioning, perhaps we all are accepting that. And today we cannot say that the students should not question the decision of the teacher. We are saying that we should promote the questions, we should motivate the student to ask the questions. So in that situation, the system should be developed that all the stakeholders in the university, the teachers and the staff, they should learn how to respect the beliefs of the students, how to understand their culture. And we have experienced that in the university campus while we got the 300 students from Afghanistan 7 years back. Maybe during that time, university was not tuned to accommodate so many international students at one point of time. While we got 300 Afghanistan students from in the campus, then we said, what happened? They said, in our country, there is no lock in our houses. So, but here in this hostel, because you are in the first year, after 10 o'clock, you are closing all the doors of the hostel. You are not allowing us to go out. So they were saying that then you call our embassy people, we want to discuss with them. We need flexibility in your rules and regulation. We don't want to, you have in the university system, we are allowing the students mostly to use the sites which is academically required and academically beneficial for the students. As such, you can provide that facility to each one of the students, that high speed internet facility, to have the high speed internet facility inside the campus. So they were complaining for different issues. So in that point of time, while they talk that in their country there is no law, in their system, for the males, there is no restriction. They can do anything at any point of time. They can go anywhere at any point of time. So while we discussed with them, we found that perhaps the flexibility is required from both the sides. So university started the flexibility from the university side. And we found that after 6 months, the university, the students and the faculty members, we all have developed a system where we match to the aspiration of each other. Because in last 6 months, we have seen so many complaints about the education system, about faculties, about the stay, about food, because they came from a different background. So in a university like KIIT, where students come from different economic background, different countries, different cities, so it is very much required to make our system very much adaptive to meet to the requirement of the students, and also to ensure that our university objective is getting fulfilled. So we have to build up a humanistic system, very compassionate system, a system developed with the principle of empathy, and to think through others. Then only we can accommodate the students from 50 countries, the faculties from 70 countries, and put them in one place to work, to live together and to work together. So the flex is to be generated from both the sides. Then coming to the social intelligence, I hope all the faculty members present here, all of us little bit understand about the social intelligence. The understanding while we develop the students for the society, we develop the students, we educate the students to induct them into the society or the industries or to different national government jobs or state government jobs. Then it is very much required to understand what is the social structure, what is the social mindset, then what is the public policy today, what should I teach to my students to match to the policies, to the social aspirations, and how the growth mentality of that child can be matched to that profession. So while designing the proper process of introduction of new knowledge with all its original form, it is very much required that being the teachers, we have to think several times that the graduates we are producing from the university, whether we are fitting to the requirement of the society, or the wisdom they are getting generated in this campus, whether it can benefit the human life, whether it can benefit to the world, either the environment or to the scientific temperament or the science or social science. Then coming to create a sensible and responsible system. Then for creating a sensible and responsible system, which is responsible for both faculties and the students, and also the university and the students. So it is responsibility of the university to create the opportunity for all, introducing the knowledge, then providing the opportunity to experiment, providing the opportunity to the students to experiment, the faculties to experiment, and the creation of new knowledge. The opportunity should be there for faculties and the students for doing those activities. And university, if the university in its objective demanding excellence, I think that while we demand excellence, in the back, all the systems are being developed to match to their aspiration. Then third is manage the system very much compassionately, respecting the knowledge, identifying the strength in each one of the individual, respecting that strength, connecting to the knowledge system by protecting the self-respect. We all should understand that today the new generation are a little bit different than us. They are having their own respect, own self-respect. They are very much conscious about their self-esteem. They are very much conscious about their own plan from their lives. They are not like our generation that if I am having 80% in my class 12 or 80% in my graduation, I will get physics in BJP college. If I am having 70% in my graduation, if I am getting botany in BJP college, then I have to choose between them. During that time, people are not very sure they will go for physics or botany till the moment that the result was getting declared. Maybe very few people were very much passionate for that, but our decisions were not so. In our decision we are not so strict. We are taught since very beginning how to adapt to the situation and make adjustment in between, and creating the sensibility among the students by exposing them to different life situations. And here our honorable founder says in different times, in different forums, that expose the students to KES. We have developed a model that how those KIT students are teaching in KES. They're training the students in KES to improve their employability. They are guiding the students of KES in doing the projects. We have adopted 6-7 panchayats, 6-7 villages. We have converted into the model villages. Our faculties, our students are visiting those places continuously to interact with the unemployed youth, to interact with the farmers, to interact with the small entrepreneurs, the small scale industry owners, and to try to understand their issues and trying to make the system in the university for skill development, for promoting MSMEs, for developing the TBI, or developing a startup ecosystem, developing the entrepreneurship model in the university itself. So making them accountable to generate the sense of responsibility. How can we make the students accountable to generate the sense of responsibility? If in our system, make each one of the student accountable, make each one of the faculty accountable, then only that sense of responsibility is created and they feel themselves empowered with the knowledge. So coming to the end, I think that if we are able to design a proper academic system, if we are slowly designing the academic system, I can say whatever we have designed last semester, it may not be effective for this semester, because in this generation, you see that aspirations are changing too fast. For that, all the high performing industries in every 3 months, they're coming with new products, because our aspirations, our choices, our expectation from the lifestyle is changing too fast. So the academic system built up last semester or last year, the pedagogy built up last year, maybe fundamentals are same, but how it should be delivered and what should be the delivering mechanism to increase the acceptability of the students, there should be certain change. We should bring certain changes in the system. Then only slowly we can, while we will be doing certain changes, slowly we'll be finding that we are also changing with the system. As I said that while we see one first year student, one fourth year student, we can make the distinction that this is a first year student, this is a fourth year student. It is because the students are slowly being transformed in our system. They are being slowly groomed in KIT culture. So while we'll be contributing for the system, we'll be putting our efforts to improve ourselves academically, professionally, and for building up the relationship with students, with peers, or with anyone else, then slowly we transform ourselves. And with that, we also transform the organization. We discuss in different forums that where KIT was before 10 years. Ma'am, while you became registered in 2010, how was KIT, and today how is KIT? And while we transform ourselves, we transform our students, transform the culture and organization, then whole world get transformed as we dream for this. So thank you all for listening to me. Any question is there, you can ask.